My name is McBride. I play violin. Also on violin we have Kathryn and on viola we have Britney, and on cello Parker Rushton. The four of us have been playing together as the Cascade String Quartet for about 3 years. Longer if you count. 3 of us did college music together, another 3 of us play in a local symphony orchestra together, so lots of fun music making among friends. We're grateful. Today we are going to take you on a tour through the eras of classical music. We're going to start in the late 1500s. Giovanni Palestrina composed sacred music to be sung in churches. In this era, this type of music is really seamless. No one voice is featured above others. You can imagine hearing this in a cathedral where the music is kind of echoing off those cathedral walls. You kind of can't tell where it begins and ends. It's this very seamless experience. So that's something to listen for in this Renaissance era music. And we hope you enjoy it. The Baroque era saw a lot of compositions based on dance forms. You'll notice more forward motion in this music, more contrast, and stronger rhythms. We're going to play two pieces from the Baroque era. First, Henry Purcell's Rondeau from Abdelazer, which is a dance form, a rondeau. You might recognize this from the 2005 adaptation of Pride and Prejudice. There's a famous scene where Keira Knightley as Elizabeth Bennet and Matthew McFadden as Mr. Darcy are dancing together, and this is the song they dance to. So if it sounds familiar, that may be why. After that, we will play a movement from Vivaldi's Winter. Baroque music is full of energy and momentum, and especially in the Vivaldi, you'll notice that the composer paints with the music. It's meant to give the impression of cold winter with howling winds and chattering teeth. We hope you enjoy.
Haydn is known as the father of the string quartet. He wrote over 100 string quartets. We're going to play one movement of just one of them today. So it would take us days to play all the quartets that he wrote. But this is the first piece on the program that was actually written for string quartet. And so what you're going to hear is, before we were kind of all playing second fiddle to whoever was playing the melody. And now, in the classic era, we start to get a little bit more of a back and forth. You're going to hear more things from the cello and the viola, where now we're kind of equal citizens. Not quite. But you'll hear a little bit from us. We'll kind of peek our head out and say, hey, we're here too. So this is Haydn, string quartet, number 13. We're going to play the first movement. Okay, we're moving again through the eras. We're on to the Romantic era. You'll notice first a switch here. So Annie and Kathryn just switched. And that's because if you notice there are 2 violins in the string quartet. And one of them plays first violin, which they usually sit right there. And they usually have the hardest part. And so they switch halfway through the concert so that one person doesn't have to take all the hard parts. And they're both amazing, and so they can both play the first violin part. So it's pretty awesome. Okay, we're on to the Romantic era. The classic era was kind of all about form and keeping everything in line. The Romantic era is all about the drama. The drama and the emotion. So you're going to hear big sound, big vibrato, really exciting dynamics, really loud, really soft. You're going to hear a lot of cool things in this movement. This is the Grieg. A couple things to note. This is our longest piece on the program, and we're going to have a little quiz. Does anyone know in music if you see a G.P? What does that mean? Does anyone know? Shout it out. Anyone? A grand pause. Not just a normal pause, a grand one. And there are at least 2. And you're going to want to clap. Don't. This is the Grieg string quartet, number 1 in G minor.
colleagues are great at speaking without notes, and I am not. So, thank you all for coming so much. We appreciate this beautiful venue. It's such a privilege to play here. After the emotional intensity of romantic music, 20th century composers began asking new questions. What is music made of? How do we experience it within time? And Philip Glass is one of the greatest examples, and he uses repetition and really gradual changes to create this beautiful hypnotic effect. So instead of following a traditional melody, listen for subtle changes in rhythm, harmony, and texture. And this music doesn't rush, it really invites you to just sit back, relax, and enjoy the journey. Okay, so on to our next modern music, video game music. So it's one of today's most widely heard forms of classical composition. Unlike older music, it does support storytelling, but now in a more interactive world. So as you listen, notice how the music borrows techniques from earlier eras. You'll hear strong melodies, repeating patterns, dramatic harmonies, and it's still creating this really vivid sense of place and character. And the music is designed to be memorable and immersive. So enjoy your moment.
Britney. I think we might be missing out if we don't capitalize on the Eras tour that Taylor Swift just did. Capitalize we will. We are going to wear some fun Taylor Swift stuff. Yes, so stand up so everybody can see your outfit there. the most wealthy female musician in the world. Anyways, this is one of our favorites, Love Story. I don't know if that's still on. I may have turned it off, but it needs to be off anyway. It's great. I'm gonna hike up my skirt a little bit so you can see those bad boys. Oh, and that's a shout out to my mom. We were shopping and we found this and we said, there is nowhere you will ever wear that, but you cannot not buy that. Love you, Mom.
these shoes on are so fun.
Okay, we have one more number for you tonight. And you may have noticed on the programs, this is not working again. Hello.
You may have noticed on the program that it's all in chronological order. Thank you, friend. Order until when? The last piece. I think the battery's dead. It's not me. So I will talk loud. This last piece is chosen to be our last piece because it is a culmination of all of the musical eras. Just like Taylor Swift's music didn't just come out of nowhere. Her music was built on, it's not me, I swear. Her music was built on many musicians and composers before her. So we tip our hat to her, to all the other rock stars that have come before in music, to these rock stars. I love these guys. This piece is really cool. Here's just a tiny bit of background, and then we'll play our last song. So this is a piece that was actually, the melody is from a harpsichord piece that Handel wrote in 1720. About 156 years later, this really incredible conductor and violinist in Norwegian, a Norwegian conductor, he decided he loved that melody and he wanted to do something with it. And he took something that was very baroque and simple, with the bass line just going and going, and he turned it into something very virtuosic between a violin and a viola. Since then, it has been rewritten for so many different ensembles, including violin and a cello, and whoever the viola wants to play with. And we love you. And then this one is one that we found for the string quartet, and it is just such a rock star piece. So that is the message that we hope you take away today, is that music is full of rock stars that inspire us. And we hope that you have a wonderful day. Seeing all of you here has just warmed our hearts. Thank you each for being here and taking the time. We hope that there was something that we played today that connected with you. So thank you again. Here's our last piece, Passacaglia.